Hello, everyone out there. Thank you very much for coming today. My name is Meredith-Lobay. I'm the Digital Humanities and Social Sciences Research Analyst for the Advanced Research Computing Department at the University of British Columbia. ARC, as we're called. We're also part of WestGrid and part of Compute Canada. I'm also just at the moment sort of babysitting the Compute Canada National Digital Humanities team for the normal Compute Canada Digital Humanities expert, John Simpson. So before all of that, I was at the Oxford eResearch Centre at Oxford University, where I managed a national program of digital social science projects. We're sort of an umbrella organization for about 50 different projects. Before that, I was at the University of Alberta, where I managed the Research Computing Department for the Faculty of Arts Resource Centre. Looked after quite a few digital humanities projects there. And finally, way back in the olden days, I did a PhD in early medieval archaeology. So I come to my current position more as a researcher who has learned to incorporate digital tools, methods, and technologies into my research rather than as a technology person who's gotten into research. So I hope this perspective will make the session more useful to a lot of you who I think are probably coming to this from the same perspective as a researcher wanting to incorporate more computing. So I'm now going to hide behind my slide presentation. Here we are. Share these. Can everyone see the slides, Jana?
Yeah, they've come up for me.
Let me start from the beginning here. So I would like to cover a lot of ground today about WestGrid and Compute Canada services for digital humanities and social sciences. Fortunately, I don't have enough time to go into everything very deeply, but I hope that this broad overview of what is available will lead you to getting back in touch for more specific questions about your own research. The session will be about looking over the broad digital research infrastructure in Canada through Compute Canada and various regional partners like WestGrid, and how you can utilize some or all aspects of that infrastructure in your research. I'm going to show you how to get started with a Compute Canada account and how to use WestGrid, and then go on a bit of a whirlwind trek through all the various services available to you all. I'll also at the end look at some examples of humanities and social sciences projects using Canadian high-performance computing resources, and to so I can give you a better idea of what it actually looks like. And then finally, I want to end with a few words about why I think it's important for those of us in the humanities and social sciences to utilize these national resources wherever we can. So what is Compute Canada exactly? It's a good place to start. So Compute Canada is a national not-for-profit corporation that's funded through the Canadian Foundation of Innovation Major Sciences Initiative Fund, so it's CFI. Any CFI eligible universities or research hospitals, colleges can be members of Compute Canada. At the moment, Compute Canada has about 33 member institutions, and hopefully it'll grow as time goes on. Compute Canada's
Megan, sorry to interrupt. Yes. Just a note from the web stream. Is it possible to enlarge your slides so that right now it's showing where you can see them on the side, but to make it a full screen?
They're full screen on, for me, let me see. Ooh, pardon me, let's see. Are they not, they're not full screen for everyone?
Not via the web stream.
Let's try this. Is that better? Is everyone able to see them full screen?
I'm just checking. there.
Does that look a bit better?
And then you've got the video feed. Is there a way to maybe move that to the side? There, that looks great.
That's good.
Yeah, and maybe just move the video. There's a little menu bar at the bottom left.
I think that's the best I can do.
Okay. Yep, that looks great.
Is that okay? Okay, great. Yeah. So Compute Canada's governance model is unique, combining a federation of institutional and regional consortia with a national organization which reports to an independent board of directors. And what Compute Canada really helps to do is to better allocate funding dollars, provide researchers with seamless access to infrastructure and resources nationally, and to enable the advanced research computing community to have a single strong voice in the national and international forum. So what does that actually mean, really? Compute Canada is the digital research infrastructure for Canada, but it's not just about boxes and cold room with lots of blinky lights, although a lot of it is boxes and cold rooms with a lot of blinky lights. But a large national computing infrastructure like Compute Canada is also about the people who not only look after the hardware, our 50 systems, data centers, that sort of thing, but it's also about people like myself who help users to maximize the benefit they can get from using the hardware. And it's also about the research community as well. The infrastructure will respond to the needs of the researcher community. So the more digital humanities and social sciences researchers are joining Compute Canada and using the resources and feeding back what you need to people like me, the better we can help respond to those needs. So as you can see from this neat graphic, Compute Canada consists of a number of different elements distributed across the country, but networked together and working in tandem. So you can see by 2018 there'll be 5 to 10 data centers with lots and lots of cores and storage and all of those things, but also continuing the over 200 expert staff employed at universities and research institutes to help you out. So just a bit of an overview of who is using Compute Canada. This graphic sort of shows you the not surprising proportion of the types of disciplines that are using it. But humanities and social sciences researchers, we've got a good number in there. It's a very active community, and it's growing, and hopefully it will grow even larger, and we'll have even more DH people using these resources. So as I mentioned above, the regional consortia that make up Compute Canada, you can see here on this map. Compute Canada is made up of 4 consortia which work together under the Compute Canada umbrella. And so I'll show you in a few minutes, when you get an account with Compute Canada, you'll also sign up for a consortia account with one of these 4 regional partners, where you go through to access a lot of the resources. So the regional organizations have a role slightly different from the national organization, as you can see. So the regions coordinate local activities such as the training you're receiving now, staff management, and ensuring the needs of institutions and provinces are being met. This is a great model because it means that the regional staff have very good institutional knowledge. They are able to interact with individual researchers at their institutions, and they can be, they understand very well the provincial needs. Certain provinces have different rules around data privacy and security, that sort of thing. And so having local representation is really good. So nationally, the Compute Canada organization plays a leadership role on the sort of national scale activities, like some large CFI funded projects will span multiple institutions across the country. Compute Canada also coordinates the resource allocation competitions I'll talk about more generally. Procurement of hardware, research data management, and other national initiatives, advocacy, and building strong national and international partnerships. So that's kind of a whirlwind overview of Compute Canada. So WestGrid, which is the who you're here with right now, is the regional consortium in the west of Canada, whom I'm a part of at UBC. So WestGrid's mission is to advance and support research and to accelerate innovation and excellence in Western Canada through a number of different mechanisms, which you can see here. Development of a regional community of highly qualified expert personnel. What that means is that when you contact WestGrid at any of the institutions, somebody's going to be there who's going to be able to help you and know exactly what you're talking about. Advocacy on behalf of Western Canadian institutions, contributing to the efforts of Compute Canada to build and expand the national framework. And as we're doing right here, to create a suite of user and expert training programs across the country. So those are some of the activities of WestGrid, the overall activities. So for a few specific things for humanities and social sciences, what can we do for you? As you can see, there's been a huge growth in the number of humanities and social sciences researchers taking advantage of Compute Canada resources. Hopefully this number will grow. For those of you who are located in the WestGrid sort of geographical area, there's a full-time digital humanities expert at the University of Alberta, John Simpson, who's just away on leave for the next couple of months. There's also a quarter of a digital humanities expert at UBC, which is me, and so I'm always here as well to help. And Compute Canada actually has a national digital humanities team with domain and technical experts located across the country. So pretty much no matter where you are in Canada, and in either your institution or an institution nearby will have someone who's on this national digital humanities team. And what we do is we sort of discuss tools, techniques, methods that are used in the digital humanities team, digital humanities research, reaching out to our constituent researchers, and really working on trying to help people doing this kind of research as much as we can. Compute Canada also sponsors courses at the Digital Humanities Summer Institute. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. There are some digital humanities related training courses, software and data carpentry, and then new research portals for humanities and social sciences. Again, I'll talk a little bit more in depth about all of these later. So more generally, what sorts of things can WestGrid help you with? There's sort of, I guess, three different categories of resources that WestGrid and the other national groups can help with. So resources and services. Everything on these lists, most of the things I'll talk about in depth a little bit later on, but things like file transfer, cloud, secure data storage, research data management, which is becoming more and more important institutionally and with so the tri-councils especially, software distribution, the high performance computing, so all sorts of the sort of hard and software type resources. There's also expertise, so consultation, helping you to determine what resources you need. This is very important when we sort of dive in a little bit to the national resource allocation competition, because at first blush, if you're not familiar with the process, it can seem overwhelmingly confusing, but that's what we're here for, to help you in accessing the most appropriate resources for your research. Designing, optimizing, and troubleshooting computer code for those of you who are at the level, customizing tools, installing, operating, and maintaining advanced research computing equipment. We look after the boxes with the blinky lights in the cold room. The dedicated humanities specialist, I mentioned that, and we also have a visualization specialist with Compute Canada. And then finally, training. talk a bit more about this later on, but as you're all experiencing right now, we can help with a number of different training. We have a lot of training opportunities in WestGrid that can help you to get started and understand what this research infrastructure looks like. So to start out with, to sort of use anything, you need a Compute Canada account. So the process I'm going to walk you through right now is really applicable to the Compute Canada website as it is right now. It will be getting a refresh over the next few months, which will make it even easier. So don't worry. So to start out with, go to computecanada.ca and you land on this lovely page here. And the first thing you'll want to do is click on Access Services and Experts. Then on the side, Account Management, and then you'll click on Apply for an Account. And that will take you to this page, which is the Compute Canada database. It's sort of the gateway. So you'll first register with the Compute Canada database. And again, I'll just fly through this and very happy to go through everything in a little bit more depth with anyone who wants to sign up. So you very easily just click at the bottom, register, and it will take you to a page with a few agreements that you'll agree to, the usual sort of, yes, we understand. And then you get to a page where you enter in your credentials, name, all of that sort of thing. And then down here, you'll come to a section where you have to choose your role. And there are, as you can see, a number of different roles here. For PIs, you can just apply for your own account. Now, sponsored users, these are people who actually need to be sponsored by a Compute Canada account holder. Graduate students, and you can see all the different categories of people here. If you have any questions about where you might fall, hovering over the blue question marks is very helpful. So if you're going to be a sponsored user, you will need the Compute Canada ID for whoever will be sponsoring you, be this your supervisor, another faculty member, what have you. So that's sort of the first step. And again, I will go through all this in more detail with anybody who wants to sign up. And the process will take a couple of days. So once you've applied for your account, we'll go off to somebody to just verify your identity, and then you'll get an email back saying, you know, everything's okay and you can log in. So once you're able to log in here, you will get to this page, and from there you'll want to apply for a Consortia account, which will be your WestGrid, Calco Quebec, AceNet, whatever regional area you're in. So from here, you just click on My Account and then apply for a Consortium account. And you'll get to this page where you can apply for whichever regional area you belong to. And then you're in. You are now a member of Compute Canada, and you can start using things. So I'll start with, from this point, I'm going to go over some of the resources that are available through Compute Canada and through WestGrid, as it's the organization that I belong to. And the first one, I'll start with the national thing. So this is the national, the compute power, cloud services, and storage are really the bread and butter of Compute Canada. And these can be accessed through two different mechanisms, the resource allocation competition and what's called rapid access service. So you'll access these through here. So I'll go into some detail about what they are. The graphic shows you very, very briefly what this actually means. I could talk for probably a whole hour about this. So what I'll do is sort of go very briefly over what all these different R acronyms are. And the best thing to do is if you're interested in accessing any of these resources for your research is to come talk to someone at WestGrid or me so that we can talk through your research to decide which stream is the most appropriate for you. So it is a bit confusing because everything starts with the letter R, but there are an amazing amount of resources that you can access in different levels depending on what your research is. The Compute Canada website has an excellent PDF presentation going over this whole process as well. So starting at the top, the RAS is the Rapid Access Service, and it's for smaller, quicker jobs and will include storage, compute, and cloud resources. The details of how much of each of these are available are on the Compute Canada website. I don't want to get too deeply into how many cores and persistent VMs and all of that because I might lose some people like myself. And so basically, if you've got just a little bit that you need doing, you just need to save a few things, or you want to just do some testing, just a proof of concept testing of something, then the RAS is probably for you. It can be accessed anytime. It doesn't require technical review, and it's just available, as you see going back a slide. So when you're logged into Compute Canada, you can just click on the Rapid Access Service button and start using those resources. And there is training available for how to do this, and you can also come talk to anybody about it. Now, the larger competitions are sort of yearly competitions that require applications and technical reviews. So the RRG is called the Resources for Research Groups competition, and it's targeted at applications from individuals.
Stories.
Sorry? Targeted at applications from individuals or small groups of researchers in need of additional computing or storage resources. The allocations, RRG, are based on the quality of the science, the quality of the research team, and the development of highly qualified personnel. So the regular RRG stream has batch computing between 50 and 2,000 core years, storage between 10 and 999 terabytes, certain number of GPU years, cloud compute between 80 and 499 virtual CPUs. These applications are evaluated by at least 2 different colleagues, and there's also a technical review. So it's a bit more of a process than the RAS. There's also a large stream RRG for again, things that are larger than the regular stream if you need quite a lot of compute. There's also a fast track RGG, which is an invite-only competition for specific researchers. Now, the one that might be more interesting, I think, for this community is the Research Portals and Platforms competition. Again, this is a yearly competition. It has a number of different sort of streams to it as well, including the service portal for people who don't require a large amount of computing or storage resources, but they may require some support effort by a Compute Canada technical team. They often use the Compute Canada cloud, but require a static IP address. Not as much documentation or justification expected, and the smaller RPP service portals might be directly approved with 1 technical and 1 scientific review. Compute and storage platforms are for any RPP proposal requiring at least 50 core years or 50 virtual CPUs in the cloud or at least 50 terabytes of storage will be considered a Compute Canada compute and storage platform. And this will have multiple reviews and discussions and computing in committee meetings. Now, the RPPs, most of the Humanities and Social Sciences projects currently using Compute Canada are within this RPP category. So I'll show you some examples of those later so you can see sort of what types of groups are using these resources. So the cloud resources in Compute Canada sort of move away from the resource allocation competition. But again, there's a lot more in there to unpack, so please get in touch if you have any questions or you want to apply for those resources. So the Compute Canada Cloud, this again is largely where the DH and social sciences work in Compute Canada. A lot of it's happening in the cloud, I think probably most of it. So researchers who need long-running jobs or services rather than batch processing. So instead of taking your telescope data, throwing it up there, getting it analyzed, bringing it back down, a DH researcher may need a website with a database behind it that's going to be available all the time. So in that case, the cloud is more appropriate. Researchers find the web portal, need to control your own operating system and the ability to customize what sort of software you're using. This is important for DH web portals projects that are using a lot of different tools. And need to build specialized virtual clusters for big data as well. So that's the main sort of cloud. There are two cloud systems currently, one in the east, one in the west. That will be expanding, hopefully, the next few months. So get in touch. Like I keep saying over and over again, just come talk to us and we can figure out where to best help you out. So I'm going to move on to some of the smaller services that are available through WestGrid specifically that you can use today in your research. The first one is called ownCloud. Again, it's 50 gigabytes, Dropbox-like storage. Everything's drag and drop, very easy to use, free for all Compute Canada account holders. And the great thing about this, especially for social science researchers and DH researchers, is that it's in Canada. It's secure. You don't have to worry about any of your data going outside Canada. It's here. And it's a great sort of on-ramp into using Compute Canada. To visit it, you can just go to this website here, ownCloud.westgrid.ca, and begin storing things.
Excuse me. So could people sign up for a Compute Canada account just to use that ownCloud service and nothing else?
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely. It's a very good little application. Go for it. So another one that is it might be useful for this community is what's called Globus, which is it's basically just an old fancy file transfer protocol, but it's fast, reliable. You can send large amounts of data. Again, if you just want to use this for transferring data between research teams, it's a great tool as well. And again, there's the website you can visit, signing in with your Compute Canada credentials. So software. Moving on to some of the more resources through WestGrid and its partners. I'm using again WestGrid as my example here. Through WestGrid and your Consortia camp, you have access to a huge array of software tools which are already installed on the Compute Canada network. Some of them are going to be very, very good for humanities and social sciences. There's some GPUs, some of it not so much. But if there are any specific packages that you need that you're using in your research but aren't available through WestGrid or any of the other regional partners, you can contact us to see if it's possible for us to install that software, or we can talk you through other options. But there's a lot on there. A lot of it is very, very useful. One thing I want to talk about for this community especially is it's called DHBox. We are currently piloting it and installing it on one of the WestGrid clouds. By we, I mean the UBC ARC team. And what DHBox is it's a really neat digital humanities laboratory in the cloud, as they say. It's a nice, environment for programming, and it includes a lot of very popular packages for humanities and social sciences like Mecha, RStudio, Jupyter Notebooks, WordPress, all in one spot. We're working with the developers of DHBox to get this to scale up nicely, so it's potentially something that researchers across the country can use. It's an extremely good training tool, especially if you want to train graduate students in tools and digital tools and techniques and methods. So DHBox, again, we're currently working on it, and hopefully it's something that we can have going soon. And perhaps some of you will help us to test it and see how well it scales. So I mentioned a little bit about training before, in a little bit more detail. So training sessions covering core skills are offered regularly, and some custom courses can be available on request. Compute Canada hosts a number of software carpentry workshops every year. Software carpentry, for those who aren't familiar with it, is a program that offers a sort of 2-day boot camp, which teaches you the basics of coding, command line, version control, and some programming languages such as Python and R. So it's a very useful sort of bootstrapping type of activity to get you really into using tools and techniques in your research. There's also a data carpentry program that offers courses which can be tailored to different disciplines. I know John Simpson has developed a data carpentry workshop for digital humanists, scraping Twitter feeds and analyzing them. So if you're interested in attending software data carpentry course or perhaps hosting one at your institution, let us know, and we can see what is possible. Compute Canada has a visualization expert who has done some software and data carpentry courses geared towards digital humanities as well. And also, as I mentioned before, there's also the Digital Humanities Summer Institute courses, which are sponsored by Compute Canada. And these are usually hands-on workshops at the Digital Humanities Summer Institute, University of Victoria. Week-long hands-on workshops and learning really how to use a lot of Compute Canada resources and HPC resources for digital humanities work. For instance, last summer I attended a workshop on big data for the humanities and how to use a couple of different programming languages which utilize HPC resources. And it was very challenging but hugely rewarding just to see what was possible and how humanities big data can be very, very enlightening. And so this summer, Compute Canada will be sponsoring courses again at Digital Humanities Summer Institute. Visualization, data visualization is becoming more and more important. Compute Canada has a dedicated visualization expert. You can get a bit more information visiting, there's a website down here on WestGrid that gives you some more information about types of visualization, types of software packages that help you visualize your data. And if you are interested in more specific examples of how your data set might benefit from some of these visualization tools, we can put you in touch with the visualization expert at Compute Canada. On research data management, this is a new initiative in Compute Canada and very exciting as managing your research data is becoming more and more important. So Compute Canada has partnered with CARL, which is the Canadian Association of Research Librarians, and this partnership will create a pan-Canadian platform that will provide tools and services to support researchers across the country and a range of all disciplines to have improved access and control of large amounts of data. The platform addresses a gap in Canada's infrastructure for research data management. While a few disciplines have introduced repositories into their research community, many researchers are without a service to support their data. And the Canadian research community is left with no real identifiable managed collection of research data. So the research data management platform that will be developed in partnership with Carl is not intended to serve as a sort of monolithic solution for all of Canada's research data needs, but is meant to provide a framework that will allow existing and future data repositories to be federated within a coherent system to make research data more discoverable. And it will provide a flexible repository and preservation system for Canadian researchers and institutions who do not have a solution already in place. So this is being designed right now. Hopefully December 2017, the repository will be up and running. For a lot of larger institutions already have research data management repositories and information, so you can, if you're interested in anything to do with research data management, we can help put you in touch with people at your institutions. So again, just get in touch and let me know. So that was the big whirlwind tour, and I want to take a few moments here to sort of walk you through some examples of actual digital humanities projects who are using Compute Canada resources right now. All of these are part of the research platforms and portals. So they've been developed, and now they're basically being hosted on Compute Canada. So Compute Canada can host and provide the compute power and storage, but the actual development of the sites themselves were done by the research teams. So a few of the biggest and most exciting examples in Canada. Here, this is Voyant Tools, which is developed by Jeffrey Rockwell and Stefan Sinclair. And it's very much about text analysis and visualization. So I've done well, I plugged my talk in here, and so you can see sort of word cloud and some different types of visualizations, and lots of different tools for analyzing and visualizing your data. And it's a wonderfully easy site to use to sort of get a bit of a taste of what's possible with text analysis. This is SIMSA, which is musicology, digital musicology. So this is a database of music, of scores, and so you're able to process music scores, transform notes into searchable data, and analyze large numbers of digital music collections. So it's sort of text analysis, but for music, and it's a really cool project. Again, this is a Compute Canada research portals and platforms project. Erudite is another example, promoting and disseminating research and creation as a sort of research discovery portal. And then the Canadian Writing and Research Collaboratory, QWERC, is a very large project, which again has a number of different platforms and research projects, but is also part of a Compute Canada RPP. So you see that there's a wide variety of types of sites and types of activities that can take advantage of the Compute Canada resources. So that was all very quick, and I'm afraid I went over a lot of things very, very quickly. But I want to, first of all, go back to where you can all see me, hopefully. Am I back?
This might be a good time. I did have a question come through by email,
yes.
And about services, so this would be a good part to maybe jump in. The question is, do you offer web hosting as a service? This researcher is saying that most of the projects he works with are on PHP web applications and database front ends. And so finding someone, they're based at SFU, and so sometimes finding someone to help with that, that's what he's looking for.
This isn't something that we do right now. unless it's through an RPP, which we can talk about. I can talk to the researcher about that later. This is a trick with humanities projects because so many of them are like this, and the long-term safe hosting of them is always an issue. Something like an RPP might be the way forward in the long term, but I would encourage the researcher to come talk to me about what's possible there.
Great. I'll connect you guys after.
Great. So thank you very much. I apologize for my voice going. I'm battling a flu right now. But again, I'm very happy to speak with anyone after the presentation to talk further about anything, or to put you in touch with any of the experts across the country who might be best positioned to help with your particular research needs and goals. And I also want to thank you very much for letting me present today to you. And please do forward on any questions. If you send anything to Janice, she can get it to me. And thank you very much.